What does it mean when a nation, maybe one often seen as a bit isolated, suddenly becomes this focal point for renewed global engagement? That's the really interesting question we're diving into today. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we help you get informed, fast. We take the sources you give us, peel back those layers, and, pull out the insights that really matter, give you the context. Today, our focus is squarely on Eritrea. Specifically, some pretty significant recent diplomatic shifts. We've got some compelling sources looking into Eritrea's recent activities, and it really does seem like President Isaias Afwerki's hints earlier on about diplomacy and development, well, they're starting to take shape.
They really are. And what's so fascinating, I think, is how you have these two things happening almost at the same time. You've got this deepening relationship with Italy, very strategic, and then this outreach from the U.S. Taken together, it could signal a pretty significant repositioning for Eritrea globally.
Okay. And the sources we're working from.
Yeah, they're excerpts from recent reports. They detail these high-level visits, official messages. It gives us a bit of a window into Asmara's thinking right now.
Right. So what you, our listener, will get from this deep dive is a clear picture of the specifics, but also the bigger implications. What does this mean for Eritrea? Yes, but also for the Horn of Africa, for, global trade, Red Sea security. We'll unpack the details and the why it matters. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with that Italian delegation visiting Eritrea. Our sources suggest this wasn't just like a polite diplomatic visit, was it? Sounds much more serious.
Oh, absolutely not. This was far from a simple courtesy call. I mean, just look at who was there. It was led by Italy's Minister of Agriculture, Food Sovereignty, and Forestry, Mr. Francesco Lollobrigida. Okay, that's significant. But crucially, also the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Edmondo Cirielli.
So foreign affairs involved too. That signals something broader than just agriculture.
Exactly. Having a senior foreign ministry official there alongside a minister focused on, key economic areas like food and agriculture, that immediately tells you this is multifaceted, it's strategic. This happened July 29th. And they weren't just there for show. They had a very clear, pretty ambitious purpose.
Right. Substance over ceremony. And they didn't just stay in Asmara for the handshakes, did they? They made a point of going somewhere else, somewhere quite strategic.
Precisely. The main agreement, this comprehensive agreement, or plan of action as it's called, that was signed in Asmara, and President Isaias Afwerki himself was present for that signing.
Okay.
But a really significant part of their trip, and quite symbolic, I'd say, was a visit to the port city of Massawa.
Massawa. Why is that so important?
Well, it's not a minor detail. It really underscores the pragmatic and strategic focus here. Massawa isn't just some historical port. It's Eritrea's main commercial port, absolutely vital, and its location on the Red Sea gives it huge geopolitical weight. Deepwater berths, crucial for maritime trade.
Got it. So visiting Massawa signals a real interest in the maritime, the trade potential.
For sure. And the main goal of the whole visit was signing this comprehensive plan of action, basically a roadmap for working together. It was formally signed by Eritrea's Trade Minister, Mr. Nesruddin Mohamed Saleh, and Italy's Deputy Foreign Minister, Mr. Cirielli. So this wasn't just saying, let's be friends. It was about committing to a structured, detailed plan for the future.
A comprehensive plan of action.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds detailed. A blueprint. What specific areas did it cover? Did anything jump out as particularly significant for both sides?
Yeah, this is where you see the real breadth, the ambition of it all. The sources lay out a whole range of areas for collaboration. First off, energy. That's fundamental, right? For development, industrialization, economic growth. And for Eritrea, think about their potential in renewables, solar, geothermal. Italian expertise could be huge there, helping them move towards self-sufficiency, maybe reduce reliance on fossil fuels.
Energy makes sense.
What else? Then there's infrastructure. That's everything. Roads, communications, ports, the basic plumbing of a modern economy. Investment there could really boost internal links and make Eritrea a better hub for regional trade.
Right, the connections.
Agriculture is another big one, vital for food security, especially in a region that can be hit hard by climate issues. And linked to that, fisheries. Eritrea has got this huge Red Sea coastline, massive potential there for managing resources sustainably, earning export income. And Italy obviously has a lot of experience in maritime sectors.
So foundational economic stuff, but it went beyond that.
It did. The agreement also covers tourism, culture, and sports. which is
Yeah,
interesting.
like that seems broader, less purely economic or strategic.
Exactly. It suggests they want to build more than just a transactional relationship. They're looking at people-to-people ties, cultural exchange. It acknowledges that shared history, the cultural links, which can actually be a really strong base for working together long term. It's not just about money or politics.
And then there were those other points, maritime security and kind of intriguingly other areas. That maritime security part, that definitely sounds geopolitical, doesn't it? More than just economic.
Oh, absolutely. Mentioning maritime security right alongside talk of strategic ports, especially after visiting Massawa, that's a huge flag. It points straight to the geopolitical significance of Eritrea's location.
Explain that a bit more. Why is the Red Sea so critical?
Well, look, it's one of the world's absolute lifelines for trade. Connects the Med through the Suez Canal to the Indian Ocean. Billions, maybe trillions in global commerce flows through there every year. Oil, gas, goods. It's a major choke point.
Yeah.
So having a stable, cooperative partner like Eritrea with that long coastline and key ports like Massawa and Assab right there, that's incredibly valuable for any major power, especially for Italy with its big Mediterranean interests, European energy security concerns, trade flow.
So Italy wants a reliable partner in a sensitive spot.
Precisely. It suggests Italy wants to help ensure stability, security along that vital route, maybe partnering on anti-piracy, surveillance, maybe even naval stuff down the line. Who knows? And that other areas, that's the classic diplomatic catch-all. It just means they're leaving the door open, flexible enough to explore other things as the relationship grows. It signals a truly open-ended partnership.
And they agreed to hold a business forum, too.
Yes. And that's important. It's not just diplomatic fluff, it's a concrete step. It means moving from these high-level government talks to actually creating tangible opportunities for businesses, bringing in the private sector.
A business forum? Okay, that sounds like they're serious about making things happen. Walking the walk, not just talking, getting private money involved.
Absolutely. It makes the whole agreement much more real, potentially, a pathway for actual capital and expertise to flow into Eritrea. And we got some direct insights from Minister Lollobrigida himself. He was pretty clear about their main objective. He said the goal was to be here in Asmara to sign a crucial plan of action. This plan is designed to strengthen the Eritrean-Italian relationship and foster cooperation and mutual growth.
Mutual growth, that phrase stands out.
It does. He also stressed that the visit helped them get a better understanding of where to focus our investments. And he framed it as just the beginning, saying this was just the beginning of a significant increase in relations and potential investments between our two countries.
So it raises the question, what kind of investments are they thinking about? And what does mutual growth really mean for Eritrea's development? It suggests something more balanced than just aid, doesn't it?
Exactly. Mutual growth implies shared benefits, not a one-way street. For Eritrea, that could mean concrete things, like Italian investment in agriculture might not just be about aid, but maybe bringing in advanced farming tech, better irrigation, setting up food processing plants. That creates jobs, boosts local production, maybe even opens up export markets.
Like building capacity.
Or in fisheries, developing sustainable practices, upgrading ports for processing fish, maybe helping Eritrean seafood reach European markets. It's about building long-term economic strength, diversification, not just extracting resources. And Lollobrigida doubled down on this being just the start. He specifically mentioned that business forum again to discuss specific areas of investment further, like infrastructure, fisheries, trade, and the economy in general, so a broad scope.
Okay.
And significantly, he said, we have come up with a series of projects that are also inclusive of private and governmental business. That's key. It's not just government deals.
So actively bringing in the private sector. That could really kick things into gear, couldn't it? Especially if foreign private investment has been limited before. It brings in different kinds of capital, maybe more innovation.
Precisely. It diversifies how things get done, potentially speeds things up, makes the impact wider. Lollobrigida also touched on the history and future priorities. He acknowledged the shared, sometimes complex past. And he specifically highlighted regional peace and maritime security as main objectives that we intend to prioritize.
There it is again, maritime security.
Yep. It underlines that while the economics are central, there's this bigger strategic picture about regional stability. Italy sees the Red Sea as vital for its own interests, connected to the Mediterranean.
So connecting the dots that focus on maritime security, the strategic ports, Massawa, it really paints Eritrea as a key player in a critical region for Italy. It's more than just historical ties.
Absolutely. It's a clear strategic calculation. And Lalo Brigida also clarified where things stood with past talks. He said this signed plan closes all the discussions and agreements that we had, calling it the conclusion of an extended dialogue. But then he immediately added, this is just the beginning. We will start implementing the plan soon.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot of groundwork was done behind the scenes. This wasn't rushed. It's the culmination of talks, ready for action. That sends a strong message.
It really does. It suggests they're ready to move from talking to doing to actual projects. And regarding Italy's long-term view, Lala Brigida gave quite a powerful assessment. He said relations were historically good, but now further improved. Then he laid out this strategic vision. We will work closely with the government in enhancing the operational capacity and strategic importance of its ports, making them key nodes for global trade in the future.
Wow, enhancing the operational capacity and strategic importance of ports, making them key nodes for global trade. That's a big statement. What does that tell us about how Italy sees Eritrea's potential? It's positioning Eritrea as a vital hub.
It absolutely elevates Eritrea from being seen as somewhat on the sidelines to potentially being a central player in maritime trade and logistics. It recognizes the huge inherent value of that long Red Sea coastline, over 1,000 kilometers, and its proximity to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, that critical choke point.
Right, geography is key here.
Definitely. Italy seems to view Eritrea as maybe a complementary partner, perhaps less crowded or complicated than other regional ports like Djibouti. It fits perfectly with Eritrea's own goals for development and getting plugged into the global economy. And it wasn't just dry economics and strategy, there were symbolic gestures too. That visit to Massawa, being welcomed by the Minister of Marine Resources, Mr. Tuelda Kalati, that itself was significant, given Massawa's history and economic importance.
And they did something else there too, didn't they? Something related to the past.
Yes, they laid wreaths at the cemeteries for Italian soldiers, both in Dogali and Massawa.
Right, those kinds of gestures. Visiting historical sites, honoring soldiers from past conflicts. That goes beyond just business deals. It speaks to recognizing a shared complex history, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even the difficult parts, like the colonial era. What's the weight of that, do you think?
I think it's very important for building a lasting relationship. These aren't just empty gestures. They show an understanding of the history that connects and sometimes divides the two countries. Acknowledging the colonial past, including its human cost, while trying to build a future partnership based on cooperation, that can be really crucial for building trust.
So it suggests a more mature approach to the relationship.
I think so. It suggests they're not ignoring the difficult history, but incorporating it into a narrative of moving forward together. It helps build a foundation that feels more authentic, more robust.
Okay. Fascinating stuff with Italy. But let's shift gears now, though, staying on this theme of Eritrea's changing diplomacy. Because almost immediately after the Italian visit, there was another development, a message from former U.S. President Donald Trump to President Isaias Afwerki. Now that feels like a potentially major pivot, especially thinking about the often, well, strained relationship between the U.S. and Eritrea over the years.
It absolutely does. It really makes you think about how fluid international relations can be, how quickly things might shift, especially when there are changes in leadership in a major power like the U.S. Our sources say President Trump sent this letter to President Afwerki on July 30th, so literally the day after the Italians signed their agreement.
Wow, the timing.
Right. And the stated purpose in Trump's message was, well, very direct, classic Trump style. He said he's reversing the negative, harmful damage of the Biden administration around the globe.
Okay, that's a very pointed phrase. Negative, harmful damage. What does that imply about how the previous U.S. administration dealt with Eritrea? And this wasn't totally out of the blue, right? Didn't President Afwerki send a message last year?
It strongly implies the Trump team sees the Biden approach, maybe sanctions, diplomatic pressure, focus on human rights issues as counterproductive or damaging. You know, U.S.-Eritrea relations have been difficult for a long time. Accusations flying both ways, human rights concerns from the U.S., interference claims from Eritrea. Sanctions have definitely been part of it. The Biden administration put sanctions on Eritrean figures in 2021 related to the Tigray conflict, which Eritrea strongly objected to. So Trump's message signals a clear break from that kind of policy.
A reset, potentially.
Potentially. And you're right about the timing. Trump's letter specifically thanked President Afwerki for his letter of congratulations sent back in November last year after Trump won the election.
Ah, okay. So Afwerki reached out first.
Exactly. This isn't just Trump reaching out cold. There's reciprocity. Afwerki extended an olive branch back then, maybe anticipating this kind of policy shift could happen under a new U.S. administration. It suggests Eritrea was already thinking strategically about this.
So Eritrea was laying the groundwork, playing the long game diplomatically. What did Trump actually offer in this message? What kind of relationship is he proposing?
Well, the message mentioned his administration's readiness to reestablish a respectful and productive national relationship between the U.S. and Eritrea, and the basis for this new relationship. It's envisioned as one based on honesty, respect, and opportunities to improve peace and prosperity across the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea.
The words respect and honesty really stand out there. Given the history of friction, that sounds like a deliberate choice of words, maybe addressing past feelings of being lectured or treated unfairly.
It certainly could be read that way. It suggests an acknowledgement of the past strains and a desire for a relationship on, perhaps, more equal footing, where Eritrea's sovereignty is maybe approached differently. That word respect feels key, hinting at a move away from public criticism or conditional engagement.
Right, and the focus on peace and prosperity across the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea, that connects directly back to what we were just discussing with Italy and maritime security, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It points to a shared strategic interest from both Italy and now potentially the U.S. in the stability and economic health of this critical region.
It suggests Eritrea's location is being recognized as vital by both, even if their specific interests might differ slightly.
Exactly. It's not just about Eritrea in isolation, it's about its role in the wider regional security and economic picture. Global trade routes, regional stability, these are big concerns for major powers.
And it's worth remembering what President Afwerki himself said back in November in that congratulatory message to Trump.
Yes, our sources recall he sent a warm message of congratulations on Trump's historic comeback and election, at a very crucial time when global peace is of paramount importance.
So Afwerki wasn't just being polite, he framed it in terms of global peace.
Right. And he specifically expressed his hope back then that Trump's election will open a new chapter of fruitful and constructive ties of cooperation between Eritrea and the United States. So that earlier statement really highlights Eritrea's own strategic thinking. They saw Trump's election as a window, a potential opportunity for change, for a reset in relations.
It shows a consistent strategy from Asmara, looking for openings to improve ties. And now they've received a pretty direct high-level response.
Exactly. It looks like a calculated diplomatic move from Eritrea that seems to be paying off, at least in terms of getting engagement.
Okay, so putting it all together, we've got these two really interesting, almost simultaneous threads. Italy deepening cooperation across the board, economics, strategy, ports, and then this clear signal from the U.S. about re-engaging, wanting a more respectful relationship focused on regional prosperity. What does all this mean for Eritrea's place in the world? And for you, our listener, trying to follow these global shifts, it really feels like a nation maybe stepping out of the shadows, strategically repositioning itself.
I think that's a good way to put it. If you connect the dots, it looks like a very deliberate, multi-pronged effort by Eritrea to re-engage with key international actors. And it definitely raises questions about the shifting geopolitics in the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea. Look at the specifics with Italy: energy, infrastructure, agriculture, fisheries, even tourism and culture, plus that crucial maritime security piece. These aren't random picks. They align perfectly with what any country needs for development, for modernization, for becoming more self-sufficient.
They're foundational building blocks.
Exactly. It suggests a comprehensive strategy for national development, seeking foreign partners, but perhaps on terms that feel more like partnership than dependency.
And the language used in both cases, from Italy's minister Lollobrigida and former President Trump, words like strengthen, new chapter, respect, opportunities. What does that diplomatic language tell us? It feels like a shift towards maybe more equal footing.
I think it absolutely signals a move away from perhaps older models of engagement. That emphasis on mutual growth with Italy and honesty and respect from the U.S. side, it suggests peer-to-peer relationships, not patron-client. Eritrea as a sovereign partner, not just a recipient of instructions or aid with strings attached.
That's a significant tonal shift.
It is. And it seems like very intentional outreach from Eritrea, following President Afwerki's stated focus, meeting a receptive audience in Italy and potentially the U.S. These aren't just isolated incidents, two major diplomatic moves happening back to back. That paints a picture of a country actively working to change its international narrative and leverage its assets.
Right. coherence to their strategy.
Yeah.
So how does this boost Eritrea's standing regionally and internationally?
Wow.
We keep talking about the strategic importance of the Horn and the Red Sea. These moves must have ripple effects, right?
Oh, they're far from minor adjustments. That framing of Eritrea as a strategic hub by Italy, the U.S. focus on regional peace and prosperity, it highlights Eritrea's growing importance in this vital corridor. Think about it. That long Red Sea coastline offers a unique position overlooking one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. If Eritrea can contribute to stability and cooperation there, it benefits global trade and security immensely. That makes Eritrea a much more attractive partner for other countries, too.
So potentially more investment, more recognition.
Potentially, yes. Increased foreign investment, not just Italy, maybe others follow. Technology transfer, jobs, broader diplomatic engagement, all that would boost Eritrea's profile, economically and politically. And regionally, these stronger ties could shift the balance. It might make neighbors like Ethiopia or Djibouti reassess their own strategies regarding the Red Sea. It could also affect how Gulf states, who are also very active in the region, interact with Eritrea. It's like pieces moving on a complex chessboard, and Eritrea is making some very deliberate moves.
Which brings us to the why now question.
Yeah.
Why are these big diplomatic overtures happening right now? What's driving this renewed interest in Eritrea and Eritrea's push for engagement? Is it global shifts, regional changes, internal Eritrean decisions?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The sources don't spell it out, but we can piece together some likely factors, and they tie back to Afwerki's talk about diplomacy and development. First, you've got the intensifying geopolitical focus on the Red Sea. Major powers, U.S., China, Russia, European nations, Gulf states, they're all increasingly concerned about securing trade routes, projecting influence in this critical zone. Eritrea, maybe seen as overlooked or underpartnered before, suddenly looks like a valuable, untapped piece of the puzzle. Italy sees economic and security reasons. The U.S., maybe reevaluating its regional posture, sees an opening.
So big power competition plays a role.
Definitely. Second, there could be internal shifts in Eritrea. President Afwerki's statements about prioritizing diplomacy and development seem genuine now, looking at these actions. This proactive outreach suggests a deliberate choice to, let's say, diversify partnerships and pursue growth differently, perhaps moving beyond past isolation. Also, resolving the border conflict with Ethiopia back in 2018 freed up diplomatic energy.
Right, that changed the regional dynamic significantly.
It did. And third, there's the specific timing with the U.S. Afwerki's congratulatory note to Trump last November was timed perfectly to signal openness to a potential policy shift. Trump's current message, promising to reverse Biden's policies, fits right into that. It suggests a more transactional U.S. approach might be emerging, which maybe appeals to Eritrea seeking pragmatic partners without, lots of preconditions. It feels like a convergence Eritrea opening up, meeting specific interests in Rome and Washington.
Okay, so these are clearly big first steps,
But
but they are first steps. What comes next? We know about the Italian Business Forum. What other potential next moves or maybe challenges and opportunities could we see as these new relationships develop?
Right. The business forum for Italy is key, turning intent into actual investment. You'd expect Italian companies exploring joint ventures, ports, agriculture, energy, tourism. That needs detailed work feasibility studies, legal frameworks.
Practical stuff.
Exactly. For the U.S., Trump's message is the opening bid. The next step would likely be more formal diplomatic contact. Maybe U.S. envoys visiting Asmara, discussing how to make the relationship respectful and productive. That could mean talks on lifting sanctions, maybe strengthening embassy presence, finding areas of cooperation like counterterrorism or regional stability efforts.
But it won't all be smooth sailing, presumably.
Unlikely. Challenges exist. For Eritrea, managing relationships with multiple powerful partners, each with their own agenda, that requires careful balancing to maintain autonomy. There's also the question of internal capacity. Can they effectively absorb and manage big foreign investments?
Good point.
And past international criticisms, especially on human rights, could resurface. That might become a sticking point, particularly if the U.S. relationship tries to move beyond purely transactional aspects.
But the opportunities are significant, too.
Oh, immense. For Eritrea, this could really drive economic diversification, getting away from just relying on mining or remittances. You could see real tech upgrades in key sectors, thanks to foreign expertise. And diplomatically, this could give Eritrea a much stronger voice in the region, allowing it to play a bigger role in Horn of Africa stability. It really could be a new chapter if navigated well.
Okay, so let's recap what we've learned. We've seen Eritrea making very active moves to deepen ties with Italy, a comprehensive plan covering everything from infrastructure and energy to maritime security. backed by plans for real private investment via a business forum. And at almost the same time, a very clear signal from the U.S. via former President Trump, expressing intent to reset the relationship, aiming for something more respectful, focused on shared regional prosperity in the vital Horn of Africa and Red Sea area.
Yeah, the big takeaway is that this points to a significant deliberate shift in Eritrea's foreign policy. It underscores just how strategically important the Horn and Red Sea are becoming globally. It looks like a nation proactively reshaping how it interacts with the world, maybe moving out of a period of relative isolation towards diplomacy and development, really leveraging its geography and history. It's definitely a dynamic situation worth watching closely. Shows Eritrea's agency in a changing world.
So the final thought for you, our listener. As Eritrea charts this new course, balancing these relationships, leveraging its strategic spot, what impact will this have? Will this renewed engagement ripple outwards, contributing to stability and development across the Horn of Africa? Or could it introduce new tensions, new complexities into that already intricate regional picture? It leaves us with a fascinating picture of a region truly in motion and a nation stepping quite deliberately onto a different kind of global stage.